Welcome to Sports 101. Sports 101 is a show that discusses sport beyond the X's and O's. We like to expand our conversation to include history, limiting and including the past, present, as well as in the making, as we also look at the game from a cultural perspective, from a people, places, and once again, social idea. I'm your host, Jamar Harp. Be sure to follow me on social media at Coach_Harp412 and Facebook under Jamar Harp. Please make sure you get social with Sports 101 and litany other shows on SportsZone Chicago by following SportsZone Chicago on social media. You can find SportsZone Chicago on Twitter at SportsZone CHI, Facebook at SportsZone Chicago, and Instagram at SportsZone Chicago. Remember, SportsZone Chicago is the world's only Black-owned sports talk app. You can watch and listen to my show as well as a variety of others. Keep up with breaking sports news and media. If you miss something, don't worry about it. Just go to YouTube and type in Sports Zone Chicago. Please add the channel, like, and subscribe. Besides YouTube, again, we need everyone to download the Sports Zone Chicago app. The Sports Zone Chicago app can be found in the iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon stores. Now I'd like to talk about this week's episode, the College Bowl season, as well as the BCS playoff. We're going to do a preview of the BCS playoff and talk about some things that were happening this bowl season. You see right here in the title picture, these are the four teams that made the playoff. You have Alabama at number 1, who will face Cincinnati, the number 4 team, Friday at 3. And in the nightcap, you have Michigan, the number 2 team, who will face Georgia, who finished number 3. This bowl season has been headlined so far by the SEC's continuous parade of losses. The SEC hasn't done very well so far this bowl season. Some people will say it's due to players opting out, transferring, coaches leaving, but overall the record isn't very good. 2 days, 4-game slate marked the midpoint of the bowl season, and after Tuesday, the SEC was 0-4. Losing its first 3 matchups to Group of 5 opponents. So that means they lost their first 3 games to non-Power 5 teams. And you know the dichotomy of college sports where the BCS is supposed to be on one level, and then below that is Power 5, and then you have non-Power 5, then you have FCS and Division 2. The SEC's most recent loss came in a 34-7 blowout by Texas Tech, who beat Mississippi State in a Liberty Bowl. Missouri fell to Army 24-22 in a Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl on a last-second field goal to start the losing streak. That was the first loss to the SEC. A lot of people pointed out is because, again, the Army is a service academy who definitely has a lower-class athlete than the SEC. And the SEC is expected to beat teams like that, just like they're expected to beat mid-major teams, but yet these teams are losing. Tally's kick had erased the 22-21 lead Missouri had with 1 minute left to go in the game, so the game was already tight before the kick. So that goes to show you how well Army played Missouri, not only on offense, but defense as well. After Missouri's last score, Army used his third quarterback of the night, Jabari Laws, to move 51 yards through a combination of running and handing off to his A-back or fullback to get into field goal position. Yesterday, the University of Florida defeated Florida 29-17 in the Gasparillo Bowl. Yeah, I know everybody has a bowl nowadays. In that game, Central Florida's Isaiah Bowser ran for 155 yards against the SEC defense and 2 touchdowns before Daniel Barsky made a 21-yard field goal to submit this upset win. Central Florida receiver Jake Herslaw led Houston in a 17-13 victory over Auburn in the Birmingham Bowl, catching a 26-yard touchdown to claim the lead with less than 4 minutes to go in the game. So again, this is another non-Power 5 team winning. This win had the Houston Cougars snap their 4-game bowl losing streak, while the Tigers lost their 3rd bowl game in a row. For my analysis, I think sometimes with these SEC teams, the reason they lose so much in the bowl games is I think mentally the kids are checked out on that level. All the coaches preach a plan for the SEC championship and the BCS playoff. So once you don't make it to the SEC championship, yes, they go to the bowl game, but the preparation, the mental preparation in particularly, as well as the physical preparation, and then the effort level does not match what they did in the season as they were fighting to get to that SEC championship. So I believe that's one reason why you always see SEC teams that are not in the playoff usually don't do very well in the bowl conference cup. So what comes next? Next comes the New Year's Six bowl games, and those are the games with the power conferences. So this is the most anticipated portion of bowl week. Ahead, we're going to talk about some storylines and some players that deserve their moment. Their one shot in the moment, as Luther Vandross used to sing, and going to give some coverage to these mid-majors and non-power fives that are winning. So right here, here's a picture of the Bowl Challenge Cup, and that's something we'll discuss a little later. And that talks about all the conferences and their records. You see the American Conference is leading right now at 3-1, followed by the Mountain West Sun Belt Conference, you say, at MAC. You can see the SEC at 6, who were 0-3 at the time of this picture. They are now 0-4 and look to regroup in the BCS playoff. So the first player we'll talk about is Bailey Zapp. Bailey Zapp is the quarterback of Western Kentucky, and Bailey Zapp had a tremendous season this year. He's going to lead Western Kentucky as a legend. He transferred to Western Kentucky from Houston Baptist last offseason and embarked on a campaign that featured 2 iconic records. His first record, Zapp, he set the single-season mark in passing yards during Western Kentucky's win over Appalachian State in the Boca Raton Bowl. Zapp needed 289 yards to surpass 2003 Texas Tech quarterback B.J. Simon's total, which was 5,833 yards, and put up 422 yards that game. So he finished the season with 5,967 yards, making himself the record holder. Thanks to 6 touchdown passes he got later in the season, he also eclipsed the 2019 record of LSU quarterback Joe Burrow, who had 60 touchdowns, leading LSU to a national championship win in historic fashion, who's now the starting quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. In that year, he had 62, so he already beat Joe Burrow's record. Next up for Zapp is the NFL Combine. 2 days after Christmas, he did announce that he's going to enter the NFL draft and forego his eligibility. So I just want to show you some quick highlights on Mr. Zapp right here, and you can get to see what I was talking about in person.
Houston Baptist transfer goes in motion, and they'll fling it to him, touchdown, and it looked very easy. Well, there's one for Bailey Zappi.
On a receiver, the ball's going there, period. And this is a big part of their offense.
I mean, people's lives affected with that.
Zappi play fed, got a man in stride. It's Mitchell Tinsley. He's loose. Inside the 30, still on his feet, shedding tackles all the way to the end zone. Touchdown, Mitchell Tinsley. 75 yards on the first play of the drive.
Check out this throw. Bailey Zappi puts this ball on an absolute dime. Look at this. Right over top of the defender, 27, and then just the run after the catch, the speed.
Stearns swings in motion to the right. Off his back foot, lobbed, and it is caught. Touchdown, Western Kentucky. Beljan made the catch inside with people all over him. Somehow the tight end came up with him.
I mean, he's right there. You see him in the middle of the screen, and there's the tight end, Belgian. But watch Trey Cobb, the linebacker. You'll see him as this ball's thrown. He's in a perfect spot to intercept this thing. And just his man, the go-to guy, Jared Stearns in the slot at the top.
Zappi to the end zone, caught, touchdown. Stearns. And that ties Joe Burrow's record of 60 touchdown passes in a single season.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to last year and the season before at Houston Baptist, and there you see, he's in the slot, And again, just when you had such a rapport, I mean, how many passes have they thrown together, including games and practice? Thousands, right?
Could this be history? Yes, it's Tinsley. There it is, Mitchell Tinsley. The 61st touchdown pass of the season for Bailey Zappi. Most all time for Bailey Zappi. And we still have a lot of football left.
Yeah, he could pile on to this thing, but
Stearns, another catch, slips a tackle, looking for a block. He got it from Tinsley. That springs him down the sideline, and another touchdown. What a block by Mitchell Tinsley, and it's a 37-yard touchdown. Jareth Stearns.
just a second ago about how he's one of the smartest football players. Watch this, knowing where the leverage is. He knows where the defense is. Goes inside, but then, hey, there's nobody outside. He tells Tinsley, hey, block him for me. How about that? Tinsley picks up the block there.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.
Okay, so right there you can see Bailey Zapp, set the NCAA single season record in touchdowns with 62, which is a great feat in itself. So now I would like to go again and let's talk about this Bowl Challenge Cup. So the Bowl Challenge Cup is a competition among NCAA college football conferences in the football bowl subdivision, also known as FBS, formerly called Division I. The Bowl Challenge Cup is based on the win-loss record in the bowl games that take place annually during December and January. The winner is a conference that has the highest winning percentage among conferences with a minimum of 3 teams appearing in bowl games. The challenge was created in 2002 by ESPN, who also occasionally refer to it as the Bowl Challenge Cup when promoting it. Originally sponsored by Cooper Tires, ESPN went several years without a sponsor. Since the 2015-16 bowl season, Progressive has been picked up as a sponsor. The 10 football subdivision conferences that compete in the Bowl Challenge Cup, or the 5 Power 5 conferences, would be the ACC, Big Ten, Pac-12, Big 12, and Southeastern Conference. And the non-Power 5 or Group of 5 conferences will be the American Athletic Conference, Conference USA, the MAC or Mid-American Conference, Mountain West Conference, and the Sun Belt Conference. I like to note that the Sun Belt Conference is the only conference with fewer than 3 bowl teams this season, so 10 conferences are in contention for the trophy. I now would like to go and talk about the BCS playoffs. Now, in this picture, you can see the BCS playoffs that are going to take place on Friday. You see the first semifinal, which is the Cotton Bowl. It will be aired on ESPN at 3:30 between number 1 seed Alabama and number 4 seed Cincinnati. And then at 7:30 on the same channel, you'll get the Orange Bowl between number 2 Michigan and number 3 Georgia. Now, the college football playoff, just to give you a quick synopsis of that, is an annual postseason knockout football tournament to determine the college national champion on the Division I FBS level. The FCS level has a playoff that you go through, and you play different opponents based off of regional seeding at different facilities. Each team's bid on facilities until you get to the semifinal and final rounds. And then the championship is held in Frisco, Texas for the FCS championship. So they actually have I think it's a 16-team playoff system, and this is just a 4-team. 4 teams playing 2 semifinal games, and the winner of each semifinal advances to the national championship. The inaugural tournament was held in 2014 and was won by Ohio State, who defeated Oregon in that game. Before that, the national champion was declared by sports writers or the newspaper, the AP, and the Associated Press, and the coaches poll. So sometimes you had 2 different national champions. So they decided this route would be better. And after some tweaking, not only the playoff but the trophy, they started off with a Tiffany's football Now they have a more sleek, stylish trophy per se. So the whole playoff has been tweaked from top to bottom since 2014. After that first season, the playoff has been largely dominated by Alabama and Clemson. Those teams have faced each other in the championship game 3 times and also played once in the semifinal. So since 2014, Alabama and Clemson have played each other 4 times in the college football playoff. To choose these teams that enter the playoff, there's a 13-member committee that selects and seeds the 4 teams. Members of that committee can be athletic directors, prominent members of politics per se, school officials, school presidents, sports writers, and former players that all can take part and decide through deliberation and watching the body of work throughout the season what 4 teams will make the college football playoff. This system differs from the polls or computers, again, that I spoke of earlier that have been previously used to select the BCS champion. And those systems were used from 1998 to 2013 until the playoff came in effect. The current format uses a +1 system, and that idea became popular as an alternative to the BCS after the 2003 and 2004 seasons ended in controversy, with teams going undefeated, beating an SEC team in a bowl game and not having a chance to get into the playoffs. So that's Central Florida, and I believe the Boise State game are the 2 references that caused controversy. Now there's a possibility that an at-large team could be a champion and get in and be the Power 5 team in the bowls. So right here is a picture, Right here's a picture of our bowl games in the college football playoff. You have the Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl, and the Fiesta Bowl. So I know you're going to say that's more than 4 teams, but let me explain that. The two semifinal games, they rotate among the 6 major bowls I just referenced. In addition, the 4 teams selected for the playoff, the final college football rankings are used to determine the participants for the 4 New Year's Eve 6 bowl games that are not hosting the semifinal that year. So, for example, if the Rose and Sugar Bowls host a semifinal, which occurs every 3rd year, they are played on New Year's Day or January 2nd, should New Year's Day fall on a Sunday. In other years, they are scheduled on a Friday or Saturday near New Year's Day, with flexibility allowing to ensure that they are not in conflict with other bowl games traditionally held on New Year's Day. The 2 semifinal games are always played on the same day. The national championship game is then played on the first Monday after that, or 6 days after the semifinal. The venue of the championship game is selected based on bids submitted by cities, similar to the Super Bowl or the NCAA Final Four. Many cities bid for this because it's a very big impact in tourism and tourist economy. There's usually a boom to these cities. Now, the winner of the championship game is awarded. Again, I talked about the new trophy that's taking the place of that Tiffany's crystal ball. This is the trophy that the winner of the championship game is awarded at the college football playoff right here. So the playoff officials, they commissioned a new trophy that was unconnected with the previous championship systems, like the AFCA crystal ball that I was referencing, which had presented after the championship game since the 1990s. The reason they did that, the AFCA was contractually obligated to name the BCS champion as the coaches poll champion. As the NCAA does not organize or award an official national championship for BCS football or FBS football, instead merely recognizing the decisions made by any of a number of independent major championship selectors, such as the Bowl Championship Series, The college football playoffs inception in 2014 marked the first time a major national championship selector in college football was able to determine their champion by using a bracket competition. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss the four teams competing in the BCS playoff. This is Sports 101, and I'm your host, Jamar Harp.
The Chicago way.
Please stop and listen, because this important message may directly apply to you or someone dear to you. Several thousand African American former full-time CPS teachers were unfairly terminated starting in the mid-90s and continuing to the 2000s. If you are one of those many former CPS teachers who was unjustly terminated, or if you are the immediate relative of a now deceased unjustly terminated former CPS teacher, you may qualify to participate in a lawsuit at no upfront cost to you. Please call 773-580-7183 immediately for more information. That's 773-580-7183. Do not delay. Act today, because time is of the essence. That's 7.
The Chicago way.
Welcome back. I'm Jamar Harp, and this is Sports 101, the show that discusses sport beyond the X's and O's. Here we talk about the game from a people, places, and cultural perspective, and use the perspective and use the lens of history in the past, present, as well as in the making to analyze things going on in current sports. Please get social with Sports 101 and a litany of other shows on SportsZone Chicago by following SportsZone Chicago on social media. You can find SportsZone Chicago on Twitter at SportsZone CHI, Facebook at SportsZone Chicago, and Instagram at SportsZone Chicago. Remember, go to YouTube, search for SportsZone Chicago, subscribe, donate, do everything you can. SportsZone Chicago is the world's only Black-owned sports talk app. And also, we need you to download this app. The app can be found on Google, iTunes, and Amazon stores. So speaking of SportsZone Chicago, I want to take a quick moment to shout out the head of SportsZone Chicago, Maya Kai, my sensei. I'm her Padawan, Sean Sierra, and Ivan Vargas, who can do everything. If SportsZone Chicago was Voltron and everyone formed, those three would be the head. You saw 2 commercials I saw for SportsZone Chicago at night. I can't tell you about that, but just please subscribe. I'm telling you, SportsZone Chicago is going to new levels. There's going to be some different shows. You might see me again at night. Who knows? But again, everyone, please subscribe to SportsZone Chicago. SportsZone Chicago at night is coming out. You got the Second City show. The lineup is building every day, okay? This is a movement, like Coach Sanders talking about. I believe. Please believe in SportsZone Chicago. Now let's talk about the BCS playoff. We talked about a little bit before break, and I'm just giving you a quick rundown on what this BCS playoff is. So again, right here, you have the BCS playoff with a Cotton Bowl between Alabama and Cincinnati, and the Michigan Wolverines and Georgia Bulldogs will face each other in the Orange Bowl. So now let's talk about the Cotton Bowl, okay? This is that first semifinal that's going to be played at 3:30 in Cowboy Stadium, Jerry World in Arlington, Texas. I've been in that area before when I was a student at Grambling. We used to go to the, I think it was a Denny's or something, by Old Duke's house out in Duncanville, and wasn't too far from Arlington. But again, let's talk about this Cotton Bowl preview. So the 2021-22 college football playoff officially gets underway on Friday afternoon, with Alabama and Cincinnati meeting in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl for a trip to the national championship. This year's Cotton Bowl is a classic David versus Goliath showdown, as the Crimson Tide are making their 7th trip to the college football playoff and had their sights on their 7th national title. So every time they've came, they've won under Nick Saban, while Cincinnati, this is their first trip to the playoff, and they're coached by Luke Fickell, who's made history in the process by becoming the first Group of 5 team to reach the semifinal. So trips to the college football playoff and national championship are an annual expectation in Tuscaloosa. But this year, Alabama, their path as the number 1 seed wasn't very easy. Alabama opened this year with that big blowout. A lot of people don't remember. It was 44-13 over Miami. Now, Miami was billed in the preseason as a U was coming back. De'Aaron King had transferred from Houston to Miami, who ended up getting hurt somewhat in the season, and his career is pretty much over. But after that blowout win, the next game they held out Florida 31-29 in the Swamp, and that could have been a victory that kept the Florida coach's job. So then you had back-to-back victories, and then that loss to Texas A&M 41-38 in College Station. After that loss, I guess Coach Saban went into his rat poison speeches and the good and bad rat poison, and his team had no margin for error, so they had to win out. So they got a tight victory over LSU 20-14, as well as Arkansas 42-35, and then that classic Iron Bowl matchup, the 24-22 win in 4 overtimes, as last-minute plays had to win a lot of those games. With that loss to Texas A&M and those close wins, Alabama was an underdog in the SEC championship game. Georgia was blowing everyone out. Their defense was giving up under 15 points a game, and most people said Nick Saban's teams met that moment when they had to meet Georgia, and they were going to get blew out. However, that wasn't the case, and their players stepped up, most likely to the good rat poison that Coach Saban himself spewed, and Alabama ended up winning that game 41-24 to get the school's 8th SEC title since 2009. So I want to show you some quick highlights of that game, and then we'll move on to continue our preview.
Please subscribe before you watch this video, or else I will not be making any more highlights or content. So please subscribe. Sorry about this terrible intro, but please subscribe so I can continue making content.
Safety blitz coming. Pass is incomplete, and that would have been a pick 6
for Jordan Battle had he held it.
Safety blitz, aggressive, coming right at Stetson Bennett. And you're right, Ness. Pick six all the way. Right up the gut here. It's going to be a safety blitz.
Jackson camps under it, takes it at the 27, goes down at the 27. And it's Jamison Williams.
Yep.
Last week, he got a targeting on punt coverage. This time he gets a tackle.
Well, he went low. We'll say that.
He didn't use his head.
That's right.
Scanning the field, running out of time, and down he goes way back around the 24-yard line, and it's Dallas Turner.
So Pete Golden.
Bennett wants to go deep. Does. And caught by Burton. I beg your pardon, it's Pickens. George Pickens inside the 10.
He hasn't played all year. He came in the game with one catch for 5 yards. But he's an elite NFL.
Bennett lofts it. Caught. Darnell Washington, touchdown.
His first of the year touchdown. That's his 9th catch. And this is basically an alley-oop. You've got the linebacker on a 6'7" tight end. How about that creativity? Instead of going for the fade to the outside, they go.
Here comes the blitz. Down the middle and on the fly. Jamison Williams, extra speed on the gas and gone. Touchdown. Just like that. Alabama with the answer.
This has got to be a busted coverage. No way. First of all, Brian Robinson takes on the blitz and allows the throw.
Under pressure, deep ball, sideline, caught by Mechie. Into traffic, and he still got it down.
And that one was. And now he's aiming for his receiver to get to the end zone, and he got it to him. Touchdown, Mechie.
Hey, now remember, that offensive line a week ago.
Here they come. Bryce Young steps up, throws while he's going down, and drills it to Billingsley. And Billingsley's got a big first down.
Bennett throws complete out. McConkey got blockers. McConkey broke a tackle. He's gone. Touchdown, Georgia. "32 yards with some good blocking in front. Lad McConkey.
Young on 3rd and 10. Fires far side. Man wide open is Mechie. Nobody out there. And a first down, Alabama.
I'll tell you, this Alabama offensive line was a liability a week ago. But again, look at 3rd and long. They pick up a complicated.
With Bryce Young. Young is going to take off running. Bryce Young, touchdown, Alabama. Does it with his arms, and now he does it with his legs.
It was supposed to be a wheel route to Leary. Well defended.
Bryce Young drops. Plenty of time. Airing it out. Man's there. Jamison Williams, touchdown. 55 yards on a strike.
Yeah.
Fake the pass to McIntosh. Bennett puts the brakes on and threw an interception. DeMarco Helms. Pass intended for Bowers. There's the mistake Georgia did. Bennett throws, it's intercepted. Picked off, and this might be a touchdown. Battle is in for the Tide. Here he is again. Going through some traffic, still going. Bowers, touchdown, Georgia. Here he is again. Going through some traffic, still going. Bowers, touchdown, Georgia. Wow.
Nice try.
Well, he did take a shot in the helmet.
All right, so right there you saw highlights from this year's SEC championship. Getting back to this bowl game, and particularly talking about Cincinnati, although a group of 5 team never earned the right to have a spot in the college football playoff as deemed by the selection committee before the 2021 season. a trip to the 14 semifinal by Cincinnati was within reach if they could just continue their goal and go undefeated. Because, you know, if you're a non-Power 5 team, not one loss, even if you do win your conference championship, will exclude you due to the fact you're not being a Power 5 team. Luke Fickell's team, they picked off Miami of Ohio and Murray State of the FCS division at the beginning of the season before two big wins at Indiana and Notre Dame. Cincinnati beat Indiana 38-24. They had their biggest win of the season, 24-13 over Notre Dame at Notre Dame. After that, they had some close calls, close victory, 27-20 over Navy. Shout out to Kevin Downing, Jarek Hall, two D-line coaches there. Kevin Downing's an alumni of North Carolina Central University. Jarek Hall of NC State. So those two great young coaches in the coaching profession. If you're interested in coaching, again, look them up. Kevin Downing, who does the ends and overhangs, and Jarek Hall, who does the interior lineman at the Naval Academy under Coach Nuamanatolo. They also had a close win over Tulsa, 28-20. But then they beat SMU, East Carolina, and Houston by a combined score of 118-47. In the overall series against both teams, Alabama is up 5-0, but the two teams have played since 1990. And we know Alabama's record under Nick Saban. The Bearcats are 2-1 in bowl games under Luke Fickell. The Crimson Tide are 11-3 in postseason contests, and that's excluding national title games and the football playoff area under Saban. That would make the record higher. The 2021 version of Alabama's offense isn't as dynamic as last year. However, it's not that far off. They're led by Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young, who led the offense to 42.5 points a game and an average 6.7 yards a snap per offense this fall. And they also led the SEC with 12 plays over 50-plus yards. Young was the catalyst to that reaction that caused the Alabama offense to spur, and he was coordinated by Bill O'Brien. As a sophomore last year, after winning the Heisman, he passed for 4,322 yards and 43 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. Bryce's completion percentage was 68%, and he averaged 9 yards a throw and has a 175.5 quarterback rating. Bryce Young, he saved his best game for last, torturing the Georgia Bulldogs' vaunted defense for 421 yards and 3 touchdowns in the SEC championship to give Alabama the number 1 spot in this playoff, the starting Friday. Again, with Young leading the way, Alabama averaged 37.4 passing attempts a game, or yards a game, the most the most in a single season under Saban, who has transformed his offense little by little throughout the years. And you remember the game manager quarterbacks from Jay Barker, and then you got your Tuas and your Bryce Youngs and quarterbacks like that were asked to win games for them. So that shows a change in his coaching style as well as his recruiting approach. One of Young's main supporting cast, John Mechie, he had an ACL tear in the second quarter at an SEC title game, and he'll be out. Mechie led Alabama with 96 receptions, with 1,142 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns. With Mechie being out, the defense may try to tend to focus on a big play weapon, Jamison Williams, the Ohio State transfer, who had 68 receptions for 1,445 yards and 15 touchdowns. With Mechie's absence, other players, of course, will have to step up. Those players include Slade Bolden, who is a slot receiver, who had 32 receptions this year, Trayshawn Holden, another outside receiver, Javon Baker, had 7 catches, JoJo Earl had 12 catches, and these guys will probably get more involved in the offense, as well as tight ends Cameron Latou, who had 20 catches, and the hybrid Jaleel Billingsley, who had 16 catches. Now, Jaleel Billingsley missed quite a few games for being in the proverbial doghouse of Coach Saban. yet he still had 16 catches. They also going to bring a strong running game, which has always been a staple of Coach Saban teams, whether he's been at Michigan State, LSU, the NFL, or Alabama. Their run game hasn't been quite the same in previous years with all the departures, O-line and running back. However, they still average 4.1 yards a carry. And with Bryce Young's arm, they made it to the playoff. Their leading running back was Brian Robinson Jr., who had 1,071 yards and 14 touchdowns. Again, he missed a few games for injury and played a few games on one leg. And he should be close to 100% during the playoff as he sat out the Auburn. In the Auburn game, that's the game he played with pretty much one leg. Behind Robinson, there's not a lot of depth as Roydell Williams and Jace McClellan are out for the season due to injuries. Right now, going into the game, Trey Sanders is a number 2 running back, but receiver Christian Leary has been converted to running back, and also a former backer, Demoy Kennedy, will also be at running back as well. Again, analyzing this bowl game, it's going to be a strength versus strength battle. When Alabama's offense has the ball, because Cincinnati is dependent on their defense. There's only been 2 teams this year, LSU and Auburn, that held Alabama under 30 points. So Cincinnati's vaunted defense and their man-to-man corners do that. The Cincinnati defense did not allow a opponent to score more than 28 points in a contest and finished the regular season holding teams at 16.1 points per game and 4.3 yards per play. The Bearcats don't really give up big plays either due to their blitzing man-to-man style, with just 6 plays of 40-plus yards, and they rank first in the American Athletic Conference in red zone defense. Under Luke Fickell and coordinator Mike Tressel, they assembled a defense that doesn't have any glaring weaknesses. They play like a Joe Lee Dunn hybrid 3-3-5 defense where they can stack them. They can slant angle their front with the backers, meaning if I'm the head-up nose or zero technique, and the offense was set to the defense's left or offense's right, that would be the strength. So if I, as a zero technique, then any type of stunt to the strength, that would be a slant. So if I slant it strong, then one of those backers will have to attack the weak gap that I'm giving up to keep the integrity of the defense. The same thing will happen is if the offense's front was set to the defense's left and I did a stunt to the weak side, which would be an angle, then one of those backers will have to take care of the front side A-gap and usually, fill that again to keep the integrity of the defense. So Cincinnati does that. They blitz a lot, and they have 2 very good corners. So the matchup is, can Alabama's offense beat their defense? Only one team, Tulsa, rushed for more than 200 yards against Cincinnati, and they limited teams at 3.3 yards per carry. Throwing a ball against them is just as challenging as running. They have an All-American duo of cornerbacks at Ahmad Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant, and those 2 limited opposing offenses to just 10 passing touchdowns, and had a number 1 ranked defense nationally against the pass or pass efficiency. Their pass defense is also helped by the front, which is anchored by 4 first-team All-ACC selections, who are Amijah Sanders and Curtis Brooks, as well as linebackers Darian Beavers and Joel DeBlanco. So now I want to show you some Sauce Gardner highlights to show you this is their number 1 corner to shut down, and it's going to be his job to see if he can track Jamison Williams or one of the other plethora of Alabama wide receivers that are guard on. So just check out this number 1 corner, Sauce Gardner.
He got rocked. That's the corner you were talking about. Ahmad Gardner, the sophomore out of Detroit.
Luke Fickell simply says his instincts are unique.
The premier cornerbacks, not just in the American Conference, but in all of college football with his length and physicality. As you can see, it's an outstanding play by Ahmad Gardner.
We ain't that, no, we ain't this. All that fuck, I don't do no kiss. Bitch ain't shit words, and my niggas all in my mentions. Bitch really wanna get hired.
Marsh up the seam, tipped away. That's Gardner. Great coverage. This outstanding corner.
Sitting my cash, I ain't doing no right.
Car too fast, can't stop at no light. I hit the gas, it's great, and I pull off. I'm on that ass, I just took a year off. She shaking her ass, come in when she get out. Took half a meal for my little brother to get out. That new Richard Mill made me feel like a boss.
Oh, wow. Gardner wishes he could get that one.
I got the timing for days, but it's
to go opening quarter. Here comes a blitz and two. Never saw it.
He be loud, but he ain't making no noise. Bitch the door on the ground like a skateboarder. If I want her, I get her, I pay for her. I pay extra, I ain't trying to wait for her. Everything that I got, it was made for me. I was serving them trap house fade for me. Everybody with me gotta eat. Say you crazy with me. Thou should not try one of us. If they do, I'm a bust. Please don't reach for no chain.
Quick, snapping the ball again. Gabriel looking to the boundary. One-on-one coverage. Gardner knocked it away at the last moment.
I made a promise I'm never gonna change.
Man, it's entertaining watching this.
Right back on it, designing my garments, corner store mornings, stand to the sundown. I don't trust no one, I can't put my gun down. Going number one now, how this out, hands down, bands out, pants down. Yeah, I'm thugging.
Nearly intercepted. Ahmad Gardner, who has been so good on the
shit, I call it a cutter. I just bought a new whip, I went bought another. My mother, she happy now.
Look at the hands on him at the line of scrimmage. It is tough. It is physical when you play against Ahmad Gardner.
Know you see that they been trying to beat me lately. I'm a heavy hitter like Javante Davis. That shit ain't gonna save him. Leave him on the pavement. All I know is get this motherfucking paper.
Great matchup with Ahmad Gardner.
Hey, I'm doing it for the bottom. Everybody gotta do something. Cuban link 2 times. Savage. Bitch, I really try with 2 phones. Yeah, like 3 cars and 2 homes. Yeah, nigga, what the fuck is you on? Yeah. Put my feelings to the sand, bitch, we got it bad. Why I move to the A is closer to the Nash. I been fucking with that A, I'm down to my last rounds. Yeah.
All right, there. So you can see Sauce Gardner and his skill. So basically, the game is going to boil down to if Cincinnati's going to play that 8-man front and that cover 3 shell, 1 high, and have both corners play man. Can those corners hold up against the Alabama receivers? And the second part is, will Cincinnati's D-line and linebackers get kicked out the club? I call it a box to club. So will security get called on Cincinnati's defense for touching the girls? Because, you know, when you go to the club, you get kicked out for touching the girls. So, again, what will Cincinnati's defense do? That's what we got to see. They also need to shore up, any of those defensive threats. Again, talking about their D-line against the run. Alabama's running backs, including Young and Robinson, have been getting healthier. So, again, it's going to be a great matchup to watch. Now, talking about Cincinnati's offense, they also start with their quarterback. Their quarterback is a 4-year starter named Desmond Ridder, and he piloted Cincinnati's offense this year to 39.2 points a game and 6.9 yards per play. Cincinnati scored at least 30 points in 10 of its 13 games and averaged 6.7 yards per play in each of the last 5 games they played in. Throughout his career, Ridder has improved as a passer, but he's also been able to make runs with his feet, and particularly on third downs and extend drives, getting field goals and touchdowns, helping them to this undefeated record. The senior had a 65.9% completion percentage. He threw for 3,190 yards and 30 touchdowns with only 8 interceptions, and also added 360 yards rushing with 6 touchdowns. So Cincinnati's going to need him to play his best game ever because he's going against the all-star Monstars from Space Jam on defense. And their Peach Bowl loss to Georgia last year, which was by 1 point. That's why a lot of people think they can do well in this because they played Georgia last year. But again, style of play doesn't carry over from each team. So last year in that game against Georgia, which went down to the wire, Ridder was 24-37 for 206 yards and 2 touchdowns. This year in the key victory against Notre Dame, he scored 3 times and had 323 yards of total offense. Now, another reason I think the results won't be the same is because since that Peach Bowl, Coach Saban and his staff have had how much time to dissect what Cincinnati did to Alabama on offense. And once they, plan that out, then what can Cincinnati come back with as a contingency plan? People have saw what they do, the quick passing game, things like that. So what new wrinkles can they put into full Alabama to make their defense second guess themselves or slow down and play flat-footed? Now, Ritter, he doesn't have an All-American receiver like Alabama does, but they win again by a collection. His favorite target has been Alec Pierce, who caught 50 passes for 867 yards and 8 touchdowns. He also has Tyler Scott, who had 26 receptions, Trey Tucker with 32, and Michael Young with 24 receptions, all rounding out the receiving core. In the tight end room, you had Josh Wild with 25 receptions and Leonard Taylor with 27, who also players you can watch Saturday. If Cincinnati's run game gets going, you might be some pop or some Y Pepsi passes, things of that nature. If Alabama's linebackers get a little too frisky and are floating in the box downhill a little too fast. Their offense does have a running back as well, Jerome Ford, the Alabama transfer. He rushed for 1,243 yards and 19 touchdowns, and he led the AAC with 6 rushes of 40-plus yards. He had 5 games with 100 yards, including 187 in the American Athletic Conference title game victory over University of Houston. Now, him making a big play against his former comrades will definitely help kind of slow the game down, help Cincinnati's defense rest, and give them time to try to figure out what Bryce Young and how Bill O'Brien are going to try to attack them as well. Now, the Bearcats, they only gave up 20 sacks. They have yet to face a front like the Crimson Tide with, all their all-star players in their front 7. To me, if Cincinnati wants any chance of winning, Ritter's going to have to play the game of his life. Ford's going to need a couple big running plays on the ground to either have one-play drives or some big runs on third down. We'll have to run through some tackles to keep that offense on the field. And then it's about red zone efficiency. Can I get touchdowns or instead of field goals in the red zone? Another factor is how are they going to hold up in the trenches, which might be the biggest concern in the Cotton Bowl. And can their offensive line give Ritter time to make throws? Because, we've seen how Alabama will attack teams that try to do the quick screens and things like that. They have enough athletes on their front 7, in particular their overhangs, that can turn and track that down and sometimes cause a fumble with a violent play on the football. Now I'd like to talk about the Orange Bowl. Well, before that, I'll give you my prediction. I think Alabama's going to win 35-21 and also win the national championship, but I'll get to that in a second. So now our next semifinal is the Orange Bowl game, obviously located in Miami, between number 2 Michigan, Freudian slip, and number 3 Georgia. Now, most people believe the Cotton Bowl will be a one-sided win or a blowout for Alabama. The spread has only hovered above a touchdown. Close games rarely happen in the playoff, but Michigan and Georgia could give fans like one of those 4-quarter heartbeat games, like a MAC title game or something like that, due to the symbiotic nature of both teams. Why do I say that? Both teams are strong up front and feature some of the top defensive linemen. The Bulldogs are going to need better quarterback play out of Stetson Bennett. I think JT Daniels has some COVID issues and may not suit up. I'm not quite sure. While the Wolverines need a big day from Cade McNamara, and he didn't protect the ball and not many make any mistakes on Georgia's vaunted defense. For them to have a shot to win the game. Remember, they dominated every team except Alabama this year. So their defensive staff as well as their players are looking to make that unit's name back into the spotlight it was before the SEC championship. So in this game, it's going to be whichever team owns the trenches on both sides of the ball and plays without mistakes, holding penalties, things like that. and more importantly, keeping their quarterback clean. So whoever can win the trenches and keep the quarterback clean most likely will win this game. It's been a story season for both programs, including their defenses. Georgia, they allowed 0.36 points per drive during the regular season. Due to that number, they outscored opponents by 3.24 points per drive. So in other words, they distanced themselves from their opponents by a field goal every drive. Until the SEC championship game, the Dogs hadn't allowed more than 17 points in any game this season. And talk about their defense, they're led by 6'6", 340-pound Charlotte, North Carolina native Jordan Davis. Now, he has been dominant on the defensive line. He's worked very hard to get to this level. His conditioning, his football skills, hand placement, foot fire, secondary moves, button rip, a lot of things D lineman work on, and made himself a prominent D lineman against the run for Georgia. Most times they'll leave him in first and second down or take him out on passing plays, but everyone's a specialist. If you look at Bill Belichick in the NFL, he gets guys that do one thing well, and he lets them do that. So if he's great on first and second down, just like Georgia uses him, he's going to be great for someone else in the NFL. So I want to take a quick video and show you Georgia's best.
Number 99, Jordan Davis, lines up across any offensive lineman. He's often just bigger than everybody. 6'6", 350-pound, and this guy can move. Look at how he gets his arm right into that center, resets the line of scrimmage, and blows this play up. Today, we are looking at the first nose tackle that might be picked in the first round. Let's get into it. Before we fully jump into it, if this is the first time you've come across this channel, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and smash that subscribe button. Not a lot of college all-22 film out there, but your boy Sanjeet has it, and your boy Sanjeet plans to make a ton of film for you guys. Smash that subscribe button. Let's get into big number 99. Now, I mentioned earlier in this video that he's pretty quick. Got to keep in mind he's 350 pounds. Not a lot of 350-pound guys can move. This guy does. The thing that I noticed watching his tape is he gets out of his stance very, very, very well. Now, he doesn't do anything in this play, and that's okay. It's not always about making those plays, especially when you watch these prospects. What you want to see is, how does this guy get out of his stance? The ball gets snapped, he's moving. He's already moving, and this guy has yet to move. This linebacker has yet to move, and this defensive end has yet to move. Both defensive tackles are out of their stance. That's important to me, because he's moving faster than even the left tackle. Look at this. He's getting out of his stance, and he's ready to throw that punch. And then the thing that really amazes me is this tight end that's coming on this wham block. He's going to come this way, and he has this wham block. He wants no part of big number 99. I mean, it's clear he does not want to block number 99. And then watch, 99 makes him look small. Like, look at this. He's going to just throw him and toss him to the side right there. That right there, man. And again, this tight end's probably a pretty big dude himself, right? But that's just how much bigger number 99 is than the average person. And again, I think teams are going to really love this about him. Now, will he go in the first round? Probably not, right? Let's be honest. People are not taking guys that are nose tackles, especially in the first round. But there are some good players that have come out that can really impact the defense. Bill Belichick will love a guy like this, right? 3rd and 1, 2nd and 1, goal line. These are the type of guys you want in there. And I could see this guy having a lot of hype, especially as the draft process kind of comes along. So we talk about that quickness just a little bit. Watch this play right here. Boom, right off the line of scrimmage. He's going to get right past the center, and he blows this play up, man. These are the types of things you want to see from a big football player. A lot of the times, these guys think you're going to just power and you're going to just try to go one-on-one using a bull rush move. Not on this play, man. Look at this. Right at the line of scrimmage, watch that left hand. Boom, right there. Left hand swipe, right hand right underneath, rip through there. He gets into the backfield, and at this point, you have no shot to block him, and he's going to really blow this up. For number 24, I mean, that's a scary sight right there to see. Really nice play by Davis. Let's get into the next rep. You know, there's a lot of guys in the NFL that have come in that are big, that are strong, they move well, but oftentimes a lot of players lack the ability to put that together. One of the things players often lack is play recognition, key and diagnose plays, processing, and being able to shed. Right? These are some of the things that a player has to be able to do. Watch Big 99 on this play. He's going to get off the line of scrimmage. He's going to jump to his right or to the left of the screen. He's going to jump this gap here. And watch this. He's going to get into that gap. This is a zone play. And watch 68 really struggle to move him at all. And let's be honest, 68 has his helmet on the shoulder pad, the left side of that guy. He makes contact perfectly. But look at this right arm, boom, throw it 68, get off of me, swim, and then he just helps make that play with that linebacker. That's a great job right there. It doesn't get better from the defensive tackle. This is what you want to see, man. You can't allow players to move you, and oftentimes Davis does not get moved, man. That's a hard guy to move right there. There you have Davis really playing that one technique on this play. Watch this play. Watch the quickness off the line of scrimmage. He's going to get right past number 52, get up to the quarterback, and the quarterback wants none of it. This pass falls incomplete because of number 99. The quarterback is doing all this play fake, all this play action, these pumps, and all this good stuff behind the line of scrimmage. The second he turns around, this is not the sight you want to see, man. That 99 gets up there, gets his hands up, good job, and then look at the quarterback. Look at the quarterback get out of there quickly. He's not trying to take that hit by big number 99. But from the defensive tackle's perspective, look at how he crosses 52, gets into the backfield, and just causes a little bit of a disruption. Alright guys, check this next play out. This comes against Vanderbilt. You have him playing essentially the 3 technique, that outside shade of the guard. Watch this hand swipe that he's going to display. Boom, gets right up field super quickly. You blink, you miss it. A guy of his size should not be able to do stuff like this. And again, I know it doesn't always necessarily lead to a sack.
So right there, you see Jordan Davis and why he's so dominant. And I think he's a first-round grade myself. I work in the trenches as an offensive line coach and being a former offensive lineman, that's going to be tough on first and second down for anybody, especially a center. You're going to have to get foot to foot to get him out the club. You know, if he's at the shade in the ace blocks or 3 technique, it's going to be hard to get him on a deuce train. And if he got in better shape, he was a 4-eye, and you try to give him a tray block with a tackle on tight end, you know, all of those blocks are going to be very hard. Besides himself on defense, you also got my frat brother, Root to the Q's, N'Kobe Dean, who was a 2021 Butkus Award winner, and he was the nation's top linebacker. Besides those two, there's also multiple other first-round draft picks, including pass rusher Trayvon Walker. Michigan, they have a great defense of their own, and they're led by a Heisman Trophy finalist, Aiden Hutchinson, who made a name for himself with 3 sacks in the epic win over Ohio State this year. The last time Michigan beat Ohio State was 4 centuries ago. So that was a great win for the Wolverines. I had to mess with Savella Averette and call her because she's a #1 Ohio State fan. She makes pottery and things of that nature. Ohio State, she's a grad. And, you know, if you ever see her, ask her to go to Texas Roadhouse. But anyway, the Michigan defense is also shored up on their back end by safety David Jackson. And they also have David Ajobo, who's on the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson, who was a first-round pick and had 11 sacks this year. The Wolverines this year had a very impressive rushing attack led by the Thunder and Lightning duel in the backfield of Hassan Haskins, who had 20 rushing touchdowns, and Blake Corum, who had 11 touchdowns. In their last 2 games, both against a highly ranked Ohio State and Iowa, and Iowa was in the Big Ten championship, they outrushed their opponent 508 to 168. So I want to show you this quick video that I do. I'm talking about thunder and lightning.
Fantastic catch.
Now here's Blake Corum. He knifes his way into the secondary. And all the way down inside the third. Corum back in. 11th play of the drive. McNamara swings at the court. Blockers out in front. He's at the 10. He's at the pole line. He's in for a Michigan.
To find a way to beat Ohio State.
Blake Corum brings it out. Good return. Getting better all the time. Blake Corum is tough to catch in the open field. All the way down to the 20-yard line before he's finally knocked out of bounds.
Time, there's got to be a part of you that triggers to the next, okay, I've got to go play a football game.
Haskins on third down, breaks free, and he's into the end zone for a touchdown. Now it's Hassan Haskins into the secondary. He's got 11, maybe 12.
Play on third down.
Corum bounces it outside. Corum looking for the end zone again. He's got another Michigan touchdown.
I don't care if you can make all the throws. You got to make the right throw at the right.
Haskins able to bounce it outside. Now shows that power and runs over some defense
position.
McNamara handed it off. Hassan Haskins got free. Went into Husky territory and down to the UW 38. On third down and 6. Big hole. And Corum gives them first and goal as he goes down to the 3-yard. Snapped it to. Huge hole for Corum. Goodbye. The one play after the fake punt gets them the first down. Corum goes 67 for a Wolverine score. Year in and year out there among the very best and not giving up plays of 40 or more. This is a big one. Hassan Haskins tackled in Washington territory at the 45-yard line. 10 didn't start playing games until November. Michigan of 2 and 4. Here's Corum. Corum down the sideline. Almost took it to the house again. Shift into the pistol. It's Corum running left. Great work by that offensive line. And a Michigan touchdown. Second of the night. Both scored by Blake Corum. This one from 7 yards. Taunting. Here's Haskins in the end zone for a Michigan touchdown.
So who can step up to take the place of Lonnie Bell?
There's Corum with another touchdown. He got walloped. Now he should be flagged.
Against this Michigan offense all day.
After beating Georgia Tech, they lost to Wyoming last week. Here's a hole and a stiff arm. Can't break it, but Haskins does get the first down.
Now you can see right there that thunder and lightning duo has been very explosive for Michigan in the backfield this year. Now Stetson Bennett has been explosive for Georgia. However, the marker him is and big plays against big teams. Excuse me, he can't make big plays against big teams. I apologize. He hasn't really had to shoulder the load until the SEC championship game. And based off his performances, Georgia gained at least 10 yards on 26% of their plays this year. I predict Michigan, due to Stetson Bennett's inability to step up in big games, as well as David Ajabo and Aiden Hutchinson coming off the edge, they'll get home more than not, and they'll be able to overcome Georgia, maybe get a defensive turnover and score, and a special team score, and beat Georgia 23-17. And so Michigan will face Alabama in the 2022 National Championship, with Alabama winning its 36th national championship in a row. So closing out this show, I would just like to ask a few questions, going back and invoking references from signing day and the shows I followed, looking at this year's BCS playoff, and in particular what Coach Prime is doing at Jackson State. What if in the near future he continues this trends and gets top 10 players in the signing day every year, and the FCS team beats a BCS team, or FCS HBCU is in the playoff? You never know. Next question will be, will the name, image, and likeness ruling change the game or make the rich richer? people are saying both. If you look at the sentiment that people said about Travis Hunter and signing with Jackson State, a lot of people said that he did it for, heard up to as $1 million NIL deal. And then, like Nick Saban said, watch out for it. It's going to make the rich richer because you're going to create a system where the people that have money are just going to spend it to get more resources. And the last question I like to pose is, well, the negative events, you heard all the impact about what Travis Hunter, what these adults are saying about this kid. People are saying that he's not going to be able to get a job because he went to an HBCU. He's throwing his career away, his education away. And a lot of other young African American student athletes, both men and women, are seeing that as well too. You also had the incident recently at Texas A&M where the young black, I believe they were students, were asking questions about the statue on campus, and someone in the Texas A&M community asked them, are they Aggies or Blackies? So again, with all this social media and people saying stuff now and it's going viral in seconds, well, that spurred the drive to get this renaissance, to go back to when HBCUs dominated the collegiate sports landscape. The reason the question is posed is because all of the Power 5 teams, if you look at, in particularly the college playoff this year, if you had to look at what percentage of the teams are comprised of African Americans, all 4 teams would be over 80, most likely 85%. So if 85% of that team went to all HBCUs, then effectively it would be a paradigm shift. And that's what a lot of people are afraid of. So do you think social media will drive more people along on this route? You've got coaches that are buying into Sean Gilbert at Livingstone College, Tyrone Wheatley at Morgan State, Coach Hugh Jackson at Grambling, so many countless others. You got Eddie George at Tennessee State, and more to come. So all these effects drive people to make HBCU football as prominent as it was before the integration era. Thank you for tuning in this week's episode. I am Jamar Harp, and you have to watch Sports 101, the show that talks about sports beyond the X's and O's. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Coach_Hart412 and Facebook under the name Jamar Harp. Make sure you get social with Sports 101 and the litany of other shows on SportsZone Chicago. Remember, SportsZone Chicago is a world's only Black-owned sports talk app. Also, again, I can't tell you what it is, SportsZone Chicago at night. Does ESPN have that? No. They show reruns. SportsZone Chicago is where it's at. People like YouTube, then get on our SportsZone Chicago bandwagon, join the team. Let's find your favorite show, get your favorite personality, watch them, okay? Let's grow this as big as we can. You can follow SportsZone Chicago on social media at Twitter at SportsZone CHI, Facebook at SportsZone Chicago, and Instagram at SportsZone Chicago. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, SportsZone Chicago, but more importantly, download the SportsZone Chicago app. The SportsZone Chicago app can be found in the iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon stores. Thank you for tuning in with me this week, and I will catch everyone next week on our normally scheduled time, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully soon, I will be broadcasting from another time zone. I don't know yet, but we shall see. Again, thank you for tuning in. I'm Jamar Harp, and this is Sports 101, and I'm gone. All right.